Oh, you think you're the boss of thumbnails now, do you? You think you know all about thumbnails? You're the fucking expert on thumbnails now. And I'm like, listen, right? Listen, look at this for a thumbnail. These thumbnails fucking do my head in. It's not just the thumbnail, because thumbnails come as part of a package with the video title as well. I mean, look at that. I've made it big, so you're not going to see it this big usually. It's cool. The video is called Watts versus Shiners, Two Sides of Gaza. What? Chris Watts is the man who killed his family. Gaza is the Gaza Strip where they're having the war. I don't know what Shiners is. Two sides of Gaza. Well, there's two sides to the story, I assume. And the thumbnail includes, it's a background picture of the word YouTube with some cameras. And then she's cut out in a square, like she does this media thing where she cuts everything out in a square on PC Paint and just puts it on. Fair enough. It's a choice. A bad choice. I hate it. Like, there's the flag. There's the flag. Wait, hang on. I'll get my mouse going. There's the flag for Palestine. It says podcast at the top because she's cut out the word Simcast from a previous picture that says Simcast podcast. This is a previous thumbnail that she's used. That's her with some red next to her. There's a microphone there, an additional one that's been put on, a yellow one. Very small. Like, when you consider this as a thumbnail, when you see it on your phone, like, imagine how small that microphone looks. You can't see what it is. I couldn't until I blew it up. There's Armchair Detective in the middle. That's Alan. There he is in the middle of all this. Next to him is Benjamin Netanyahu. Very small now. We're talking very small pictures of Benjamin Netanyahu and Joe Biden, accompanied by the Israeli flag. We've used the word BAM in big spiked letters here. BAM! I think to reference Bam Bam, Bin Bin. I don't know. The words human behaviour are there, cut out from a white background and stuck on. And at the bottom line, we've got the words Watts Island in like handwritten, cut out of a black background and stuck on. And the word creator, which is the word creator. I do not know where this comes from. What does it say? Can somebody explain to me what the podcast says and does? Because to me, I'm reading it and I'm looking at it. Just okay, so the thumbnail, like, forget in a way you can't forget the title at the bottom. That's part of the package. You see those two together. It's like saying, forget the headlines, just look at the picture on the newspaper. You don't, they come together. So sometimes you don't have to worry so much about the words on the thumbnail because they're written below it all the time, every time. You never have to put your channel name and details on the thumbnail because it's written below it every time. So, like, it confuses me because the words are below Watts versus Shiners, Two Sides of Gaza, and I don't know what that even means. And then what are we driving at here? Armchair Detective is in the middle of Palestine, and she's on the side of Palestine, and he's on the side of Israel. And then this word human behaviour, and then Watts Island creator. Alan's a Watts Island creator. This in itself is like a detective puzzle that I have to work out. This is like all the different things on the pinboard and I have to try and pull the strings together. But no, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. To make this better, what you should do is take everything off apart from one thing. The one thing that you want the thumbnail to be. I would suggest not having the YouTube logo on it at all because you're on YouTube. So that's fucking, you don't need that. That's branded. Like when look, even on my phone there, I'm getting notifications from YouTube. They've got the YouTube logo on. It's branded. When I'm on YouTube, I know that I'm on YouTube. I'd forget that completely. I would forget that. And I just pick one thing. This next thumbnail next to it. This does my fucking head. And it should do. Like, if you want to piss me off on the internet, make thumbnails like this. Because you've got a picture of a woman with a surprising expression. That's what you want for your thumbnail. That's going to draw them in. The human aspect of seeing another human pulling an emotional response. People do like that. It's been tried and tested. But why have you covered it up with the picture of the fucking yellow microphone again? That's stupid. It looks stupid. And then why does it say Lycan and Amber? Because to a normal, regular, standard person, I don't know who Lycan or Amber are. Natasha Recline, all in different fonts. All in different colours, as if you've cut them out of a newspaper and stuck them on like you're writing a fucking hostage negotiation letter. I want £200,000 in a brown paper bag left behind Tesco's. Like, what's wrong with you? Merb, what she said, gossip, all different fonts, all cut out and stuck on. And then at the bottom here is something that nobody can read. Nobody can understand what it says. It's words of different colours on a fucking... Like, there is no one can understand what this is. No one can. And then it's got the timestamp over your... Like, the timestamp is always in that bottom corner. Don't put any information there. You want it to be read. So don't worry about that anyway. That's the least of your worries. Because look at what the rest you've done. What have you done here? You, like, literally, she started with the picture of the woman. Yeah? The picture of the woman. And that's the thumbnail. You don't need anything else. You literally don't. You could put an arrow, or you could put a little circle, or you could put one word maybe if you're thinking like a newspaper headline, one word. And that one word would probably want to be different to the words that are underneath, because the underneath is where the words are. And here she's written Natasha tells all recliner news. Okay? Recliner news. Well, you've written those words in here. Natasha recline. You didn't write news or tells all, so I'll give you that. But so... And I don't know what the video is about. The thing that makes me so cross is she must have started with the picture of the woman, and she must have added these items one by not all at once, one by one. I'll stick the lichen on. I'll stick the amber on. I'll now stick the Natasha on. I'll now stick the recline on. That you could have stopped there, and it would have still looked a big mess, but you could have stopped there. I'll stick Merb on. I did print production at HNC level at college. You know, like a in between college and university when you're messing about doing your year out because you have to take an extra couple of A levels because you fucked about and failed one of the A levels. And anyway, look, I went and did that. Yeah, I did an HND in media, and one of the print production modules they talked to us about different kinds of fonts. Have you ever seen any media in your life that uses so many different fonts all in one page? The only piece of media you can reference in your mind that has this many fonts cut out from stuff is ransom notes off the fucking films where someone's written, we want all the money in a paper bag, we will not harm your son, put $200 in a paper bag. Like, it is a fucking, like, have you ever seen, most brands would like to have one font that's identifiable with their brand and just stick with that. And to make it easy for the reader, because what a font is about, the reason you're doing this is to try and attract attention and make the words easy to read. Yeah? Like, make them distinctive as well sometimes so they stand out as your brand. That's quite difficult to do in the modern world because there's so many people using words and so few fonts. But, like, stick with one, make it clear and easy to read. And that's what your job is. But what you've done here is the opposite. So you've made it hard to read because of all these different things going on. There's different fonts which show a disconnect. Like, if you were saying, like, this is related to this is related to this, it doesn't seem related because it's all in different fonts. Like, it looks like a mess. And the human brain looks at it and says, oh, fucking what? And then just moves on to the next thumbnail. Because this will be surrounded by other thumbnails which will be nice, clear pictures of what's going on. And yours will just be lost because they don't even read the words. If I scroll down on this, if you look at the page, look, now you're looking at the whole page, and I scroll down, you try and tell me, I'm going to just scroll through it. There's the best one there is the Armchair Detective one a month ago. It's just him, and it says shadows. I don't know about what we do in though, that was unnecessary, but that's your best one. If you scroll down, you would struggle to take any of this information in. There's too much. Your human brain cannot take in this information. It can't even pick out a video to watch because none of them appeal because they're all such a fucking mess. It's just like when you go in Thornton's, all the chocolates aren't all in a big fucking bucket and you have to pick one out. Like, they organise them neatly and all the different cards are all written in the same clear, legible language. Do you understand what I'm saying? Sort this out now. Go back across. If I'm at it now with Simcast, they need to go back across all of their videos, all of them. If they want anyone to fucking take them seriously, they need to go back across all of these videos. Just take one clear screen grab from your video of the thing you are talking about. One clear screenshot of usually a human, in my opinion, it works best with human faces. Easy. Like, if you don't have a fucking Photoshop to work on, and, you know, if you're not doing Photoshop and stuff and you haven't got that ability, fine, doesn't matter. One clear screenshot of the thing. Put one, I know you love the words, so I would suggest no words, but one words. You're allowed, like as if you're doing a newspaper headline, you're allowed no more than 2 words, just like, you know, across the top, and you do it in that, and that's it. This one, the GoFundMe one, she's obviously put that over the pictures of the kids. I get it, but it ruins the whole thumbnail just to zoom in on the one person. It's just such they were better in the past, and they've got worse and worse and worse even. Like, that's your best ever thumbnail, that one. Helen praises Claire Morgan, because it's just Helen and Claire Morgan, and like, they're people, you can see that she's talking. Like, I don't know, I'm not going to go too deep on the human psychology of what draws you into a thumbnail. I'm going to tell you what puts you off though, and all this shit. This is dog shit. Are you alright in chat? Truly, is that a troll, or are you like being legit? Because I'll give you a legit. Yeah, I'll give you a legit. Go vegan. Get yourself a fucking smoothie maker. Get yourself one of those NutriBullets, or you've got a blender. You've got one of those hand blenders. We've all got one of them these days. Get your hand blender. Go up get yourself up the supermarket, right, and get 2 things of bananas. 2 of them. You're going to have one that you're eating and one's going to be ripening. Get yourself dates, prunes, something like that. A dried sweet, if you want, sweet fruit. Get that. I mean, I might be overloading you on sugar here, but this is my idea for this. And also other fruits that go in there, like strawberries, just fruits really. It's just nice fruits. And don't be afraid to grab a couple of those traditional sort of prunes, or ones with a bit more roughage, figs or something. Don't give figs to a dog, but yeah, get these right. Put them in a blender and blend that up and drink that for breakfast. Drink it for lunch as well. And in the evening, you will. When I first started being vegan, the transition between vegan diet, I took quite heavy. I went quite hard, but just eating fruits and vegetables, it gives you all that fibre that your body might need, and blending them up in a drink like that gives you the fucking the kick. Yeah, that's my top tip for that. So there you go. You've had a tip now, but we're not going to be discussing that too much, because what the fuck? It's a bit strange. You would understand that it's quite different for a human being to come into a new chat room where there's new people that they're going to be friends with and start talking about that as their like primary, first, because I'll give you a top tip. People remember you by first impressions. So you might now be, truly ruby, shit in beauty if you're not careful. Is what it is. So, do you want to see this? You don't want to see that. We'll stick on Simcast for a bit. So I've led you in. I've told you what we can talk about today. We'll start on Simcast then. I want to watch this because I don't know what's going to happen. You can see I haven't watched it. There's no red bar. Watts versus Shiners, 2 sides of Gaza. What are we going to have here? There's a picture of Alan, so it comes into my ballpark. But what is going to happen? I've got no idea. Listen, trust me on this, right? That regular smoothie, go vegan, even if it's not, ethical for the animals, you don't care about the animals, whatever. Do it for a week just for the shits, and you would be surprised. Fruits, vegetables, grill yourself up some broccoli for lunch. I don't know, some people don't use the griddle pan because of the extra iron that it might impart into the food. Like, I know people who've got hemochromatosis and stuff like that causes iron issues. But I like a griddle pan. And a griddle pan and some purple sprouting broccoli, or even some broccoli or cauliflower sliced, whacked on that griddle pan, little dash of olive oil, sear that. It gets a real nice, because I think when you stop eating animal flesh, part of your brain is like, I want that sort of steak, where's my big part of my meal? So I griddle pan the things like broccoli and stuff like that, asparagus as well, and mushrooms. People think mushrooms are too greasy and slimy, and yeah, but actually if you chop up mushrooms and you put them in a dry pan and you put them on a reasonably high heat, that will sweat out the water that's in them, and it's that water in them that makes them so like squelchy and slimy. So you dry out the mushrooms in the dry pan, watch that water evaporate, and the mushrooms then take on a much more concentrated flavour of umami. So the dried then you can start cooking. I start, instead of chopping onions and putting oil, garlic, onions to start, I start with dry mushrooms, then oil, garlic, onions, and I go ahead like that. And so that gives it a really solid umami base, and it's extra good for you as well, digestion, nutrition, all that stuff. So yeah, fruit and vegetables. I disagree, Gandalf, that red meat is a vital source. We disagree on that. So, but because I think all the proteins and nutrients can, like, scientifically, I've seen that you can get it from elsewhere. So I disagree on that, I guess. But it's okay to disagree on that, because, I do question mark everything. Yeah, I do know that one of the things that I did discover was vegan sports. I've seen lots of people who are successful in the sporting field, and veganism is now probably the main diet in sporting excellence. But if you're repairing and recovering, it's still the case, I think, that they recommend like this increase in certain things from animal products. I think to get the amount of protein and nutrients you'd need to recover and repair from certain injuries, you might have to eat an awful lot of broccoli. But it's also the case that broccoli doesn't contain as many nutrients as it used to, because we started breeding in the mass factory, farming side of things for broccoli that bounces and lasts long on the shelf, and we sort of forgot to watch out for the vitamins that were in it and breed in all the good vitamins. So we bred our fruit and vegetables to be the choice of the mass farmer producer that's going to last and go well on the shelf. And there are positives to that, of course, for food safety and security, but there are negatives too. So it's all about getting a balanced diet, I agree. And I think that if people think that red meat is the only source of all whatever's in there that's good, I'd possibly disagree. I would also mainly disagree because animals like the cow itself that are the meat that you eat, the cow itself does all right without eating red meat. It's quite a big, powerful animal, and so are things like gorillas, and they don't eat red meat. So I think a lot of powerful animals are out there with big muscles and brains and things going on, but that's just my opinion. Let's not talk about too much about food, because I don't want anyone to get it was only just a top tip, is just like switch to a vegan diet for 3 days, discover the benefits of the vegan diet from that point of view. Which is that it's going to make you a little bit more regular than you would expect. But that's an initial change. I think that calms down. Certainly you don't drink as many smoothies. Right, so I don't know what she's going to talk about. I'm thinking there's going to be something about Armchair Detective. If she's going to go on about Gaza, I'm going to skip past it a bit. I just want to know what she's going to say about the Armchair Detective, really. So let's see what she says.
So before I get started on this podcast, before I get started on Bam Bam Bam.
Oh, it's Bam she's talking about.
I just wanted to share this with you, and I'm a very...
Okay, this goes in a community post. It's before I get started on this episode, and I do this myself when I'm doing live streams, but we're doing like 3-hour live streams. Yeah, so it's a live stream, it's different. But this is a video on YouTube, so you've edited this. So no one wants to see this. I mean, it's nice, but no one really wants to see this at the start, wasting everyone's time. They all do this, it annoys me, is go to the point of the video at the start. Tell people what the point of the video is at the start. Hi, today's video is about this. I'm going to tell you about X, Y, Z, and you can do this for about 20 seconds, and then we're done. 20 seconds maximum, because by 30 seconds people have decided I'm bored of this, where is the video? Like, and even less than that, you're talking in a world of shorts and TikToks. Please get to the point early.
Unpopular person on YouTube, so for me to have racked up over 400,000 lifetime views on this channel
means nothing.
That is an incredible achievement.
No, it's not. Now listen, I did put a thank you for 1 million views on my channel recently on the community post, and I do thank people, but it's also a bit weird because those 1 million views in the main are not all from Alan, actually. They've all come in the past, but no one knows that, and I don't care, but it's funny. But look, if I go to my videos and just quickly go to the most popular, I think I've got 80,000 from the Eddie Hall thing, 50,000 from fixing a stalled upload video from like 9 years ago. YouTube's changed now, that video is irrelevant. I got 40,000 for talking about the Einhell BT pens in Bodenhacker, and 40,000 for talking about Durian Rider. So they make up the big chunk of the 500,000 or the 1 million views I've got. But actually quite a lot of them now are Alan videos as well. I do appreciate that, so I am very grateful. But I made it a community post, and to be honest, look, it's just a little community post. Where is it? There you go, little community post, new achievement, thank you, and we just move on. In the big picture, it doesn't really mean anything. Like 1 million views, 20 million views, 25 million views, 60 million views, 60 million Jews. Like, no, look, it doesn't really, like, in the big picture, because it's all relative, isn't it? So if you get that number of views in 2 weeks, you're fucking pumping. If it took you 10 years, it's not so good. And it doesn't really matter. What really matters is what happens on your next 1, 2, 3 videos, the engagement, the growth, the way you move forward. What happened in the past is lovely, and you can look at it and say thank you, and then sort of move on, because it is irrelevant. It's just a number on a piece of paper, and your future success is not, like, this does not determine it at all. So I think it's nice and it's interesting and you get numbers on YouTube, but everyone's got to be really careful that's on YouTube. Where have I gone? Where am I? Not to get too caught up in the numbers game, because, you know, when you put a 0 on the end of that, then you start saying thank you, and then, like, you know, your graphs. It's really interesting to me that as I was a smaller YouTuber and like the numbers graph is now, I'm bigger, the graph is the same, it's just on a different scale. So you're always looking for the next, you know, improvement rather than rolling around in the glory. But and I'm not being horrible, but, like, you know, this also says 1.7k subscribers and stuff. I know everyone does it on the journey. Thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for that. But I would suggest just doing it in a community post and not forcing us to sit through it for more than 20 seconds at the start of the video.
It's a personal achievement, maybe not an incredible achievement, but for me, who is always about honesty and about being, you know, being forthright and telling the truth, and for me being unpopular, that is quite a personal achievement. Now, it's
What are we on about? Unpopular in life, do you mean, or on YouTube, or what? We're 40 seconds in now.
not a major achievement, and this is not something that I'm going to get out the champagne for. Absolutely
Agreed, yeah.
not. Oh, and apparently I'm making millions off of YouTube, and I've got houses everywhere.
Right, so that's a personal complaint against probably one person who's put a comment somewhere that you don't like. Again, I wouldn't be bringing this up because this is supposed to be about Watts and Gaza.
I wish. That's what one of my past subs have said to me, that I'm just raking it in on YouTube and I'm making millions.
You're right in chat. I'm looking at you now. Sorry. I wasn't paying enough attention. Is everything all right? What? She's making millions. Look, monetized. Millions.
I actually keep getting reminded of you by YouTube to set up things like membership.
In fact, she's cut off the money bit. She's cut at the right-hand side there. It says how much money you make, but she's cut that off for some reason. But she wants to talk it through. Bit weird.
And super chat and super thanks, things which I haven't even done yet.
You haven't enabled them.
But
Okay.
you know, for somebody who is not popular to have racked up this many lifetime views, basically,
This won't make you more
most of
popular.
these views come from me just telling you my opinion on something. That is quite something, because I'm not popular at all. And
Well, this says that you're not popular. Like, how long have you been on it, did you say? Wait. I'm a minute and a half into that video. How long have you been on it? Oldest. 3 years. 3 years. And I mean, it's not bad. I'm not saying it's awful. It's a hard go on YouTube. You know, it's not easy to do this. But 3 years, 400,000 views. So 1.5 years, 200,000 views. 9 months, 100,000 views. No, that's okay. That's not going so bad, to be honest. Yeah, I will say, yeah, this is a reasonable achievement. Like, you know, well done for getting those views. I suppose that's all I'd say. Like I said, I think we should move on now.
time views, basically, most of these views come from me just telling you my opinion on something.
Right.
That is quite something, because I'm not popular at all, and I'm not striving to be popular. And I know
You're on YouTube, so you're looking at your view numbers, so that you are interested in popularity. You're making a whole fucking 1 minute, 30-second comment about it. I understand most of us don't measure our success by popularity, and I understand that we're not going to be popular. Like, when I say we, how many of us are going to be Justin Bieber or, you know, what's the name that did the Wednesday Addams? You know, certain people get very popular in our society. So the majority of us are not going to get that popular social media wise. But being able to find a niche, grow an audience, that sort of stuff, that's what it's about. So popularity is kind of out the window. It's more about what I just said, you know, growing an audience, finding your tribe. And there's a lot of people out there, so you should be able to do that. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, we're not here on this popularity contest. I'm going to be the biggest rapper. I'm going to get the most million views, like Jake Paul stuff. No. But if you're on YouTube and you're making content, you are engaged in a popularity contest of some description. And I used to say, I don't care how many people watch the stuff. I just do it for the love of the work with the ASMR. And that was true at the start. But to be honest, like, I do care what, like, now I'm doing streaming and stuff, especially now it's not just for anxious, like, when I was doing ASMR, if I got 1 billion views, it wouldn't matter, because only a small portion of that audience would understand what it was and it would be applicable for them. So I don't need everyone to watch it. But when I'm doing music or just general stuff, yeah, I'd love it if everyone watched it. Wouldn't that be good? So I'm not going to hide and pretend that I don't want people to think I'm trying to grow on YouTube. I think I am. Right. What is ASMR? ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response. So it means that there's a tingly feeling you get in your back of your neck, and you've probably seen it on YouTube where people are whispering into a microphone or combing some hair or something, and the people that watch the videos find it's relaxing and it makes them calm down and it gives them like a tingly feeling. And the way I recorded it, I'd use a dummy head and 2 microphones. So to you with your headphones, it sounds like you're really there in the room with me, and then we can create some really interesting soundscapes and do some guided meditation, bit of hypnosis to help people calm, relax, and maybe even sleep. So that's ASMR. It's a big thing on YouTube, and it was.
That a lot of these views have also come from my detractors and my critics. And that's amazing. And I also want to tell you, for anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel, views are not the most important thing. In fact,
listen,
my views have been
the thing that's annoying me about this is I don't care. I'm not watching this to hear your opinion on your views, like your view on how many views you've got. I have my own opinion on views. I watch people like Devin Nash who like, look, if you want to know about views on YouTube, go to Devin Nash. Devin Nash. Inspirational speaker, entertainer in the gaming industry. And 2 videos. I'm just going to search for views. Why no one watches your content? I'm getting no views. Should I quit YouTube? That's a brilliant video about how to create content. A brilliant video. Let's just quickly put it on. Let's see what happens, look. Because I promise you, within the first 30 seconds, you will understand why this is better than her. Not camera quality, not because he's a better speaker, and this and that, not because of the fucking advert on the start, which I'm sorry that we have to sit through. I will get that YouTube premium set up one of these days, probably for Christmas. But because Devin understands and is a good teacher and does these things. Like, look, okay.
In 2021, a study found that the most desired job for any kids in the United States is a YouTuber. The amount of people wanting to make money off YouTube and Twitch is exploding, but far less than 1% will ever get there. On Twitch, just 1 in 15,000 people will click the start streaming button and actually ever earn minimum wage. And on YouTube, far less than 0.1% of channels will ever reach 10,000 subscribers.
So there's the big numbers. I want to be in that 0.1%. You know, that's hard going then, isn't it? He's making it very clear.
So almost everyone wants to be a content creator, but everyone that is starting that journey is pretty much doomed to fail. And today we're going to actually find out why.
There you go. Boom. That's what we're going to do today.
I'm Devin Nash. I co-founded an agency called Novo. We run Novo Nexus, which is a place for hundreds of creators to get sponsorship.
Now you're allowed your little 20 seconds for your little plug. You know, this is what I think about my views. This is my little bit of housekeeping.
By brands for free, and I've worked with thousands of creators.
But for Devin, he's using that time to say why you should listen to him. This is what I'm going to tell you. This is what we're going to do. This is why. The first thing was why you're interested. This is the money people make. Now this is what we're going to do, and this is why you should listen to me.
On growing their content. I'm going to give you 3 real, no BS reasons why content actually fails.
So that's great. And then what he actually does is he goes on and gives you those 3 reasons very quickly. Within a minute and a half here, we're into the reason 1. Yeah? Like focusing on the wrong things, production quality and equipment. Like I said, it's not about cameras, content. We're talking about controversial marketing. You're afraid to cause trouble. I don't know what that one is. Like, you don't have a unique voice. I don't know. Like, anyway, these are the points he makes. You get that video in 10 minutes, and like that's really, really good. He also does interesting long form pieces where he interviews people who have been hugely successful in the industry. So I listen to that because they're really successful and they know what they're talking about. So if I go,
how have you accomplished so much if these games literally can
videos popular? He's talking about how much money top 1% streamers earn, exactly how to grow a Twitch stream from 0 to 100 viewers. I mean, imagine a good video for someone in this world. How to grow a Twitch stream from 0 to 100 viewers. And the thumbnail, like I said, I get eggy about my thumbnails, yeah? These thumbnails. Look at these 2 thumbnails. There's some words on them. Granted, that second one's got words. 0 to 100 viewers. And behind it is a picture of some of the most famous Twitch streamers. I mean, you might not know them, but his audience will. Like, they're the ones that will resonate with who's going to watch this video. I mean, that says it all. Bang. You don't need a million fonts. Exactly how to grow a Twitch stream from 0 to 100 viewers. How much money the top 1% Twitch streamers really earn. And there they are. And he's got the monies. And boom. Like, so it makes sense, doesn't it? So I listen to people like Devin Nash. and I think he's good. So I'm not just a mean person who says a load of mean things, but I do like to pick up on things like this, because this channel now, Simcast, I've come here to watch her video, which has got a picture of Alan on the thumbnail, and we're now 2 minutes in, and we haven't got to the fucking point yet.
Low recently. My views have been quite low. But views are not the most important thing on YouTube.
Yes, they are. Otherwise, you're talking to nobody.
If you have a shorts channel, for example, and you
Like, it doesn't matter what your views are, what your opinions are, what the content is you're trying to make. If no one's watching it, it might as well just go in the fucking bin. And I got into that trap a little bit with the ASMR, being a little too self-indulgent and up my own bum about it, I'll admit that. But like, it does matter. Otherwise, don't do YouTube. Because YouTube has this algorithm and it's about the numbers of views. And you're there highlighting your view count and saying thank you. So if it doesn't matter and you don't care, don't say thank you about it. Just fucking don't talk about it. But it obviously does matter to you quite a lot, because you're thanking people, you're saying it's an achievement, and you're highlighting it and talking about it for 2 minutes. You seem confused.
got 10 million views from those short videos, you're not going to make any money.
Listen, YouTube Shorts is a totally different animal. So irrelevant. We can't bring Shorts into it before we fixed your problem with your thumbnails and your actual content. Like, Shorts can supplement and bring people to your content, or a real, more grown-up way to look at it is it's a totally different media format. So you can create and you can be successful. The way you make money through Shorts is not necessarily through direct numbers of views equals adverts numbers in the same way as standard YouTube, because people don't watch adverts on Shorts. So there is a different financial model there. But to even get into that before we've even discovered how to make a proper YouTube video, if you want, you can abandon this and just make Shorts and we can talk about it. But you're not doing Shorts, so I would suggest we just ignore that for now.
It is your watch time, and I hope you pay attention to this for anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel, because everyone thinks it's the views, it's the views, it's the views. It's not your views as much as your watch time. It's your
She's confused. It's a package of things. It's the what we call engagement. It's how many people click on a video based on the times they've been shown the picture. That's called impressions, click-through rate. It's how many people click on an advert when they're watching your content will prescribe the click-through rate for advertising, or clicks per mile for advertising, and that will give you a different ratio. So some content doesn't get as much advertising money per mile as other content. There's a whole different load of factors, and they don't just take one and say, right, this one's got loads of views, it's better. No, this one's got loads of watch time, it's better. There's a whole conglomeration of things, number of comments, amount of people who shared it, the amount of people who watch it within that first hour, the amount of people who click off after the first 3 minutes, the amount of people who click off within the first 2 minutes. It will fuck your video totally if you launch a video and in the first 20 seconds people get bored and click off. It won't show it to any more people. YouTube thinks this is a bad video. We showed it to a load of people, sample audience, and they all thought, nah, click off, so I'm not going to show that to anyone. Fuck it. Even if the rest of it is dynamite, if you fucked up the first 20 seconds, you're fucked. Like, you can't. Yes, I agree, views are not the only fruit, oranges are not the only fruit, but this metrics conversation from someone who is not successful in the metrics, does not understand how to be successful in the metrics. I mean, I'm not saying I'm big successful, I'm learning and trying and working, but I can see where she's got this wrong, yeah, and I can see who's got it right. So I think it's a good call from me here. A bit of a content consultancy here. Like, what are we doing? And the only reason I'm talking about it, I didn't want to talk about this. I wanted to talk about Armchair Detective in her video, but she's talking about this in the video, and it's now over 2 minutes in.
Watch time, that is really, really what is important.
If you want people to do a watch time on you, do a big long stream. They watch a lot of that, and then afterwards they can watch it, and it's long, and that's long watch time. But it's long watch time over a big long stream, so the percentage of watch time is still relevant. So if they click off quick, that's worse because it's a big long stream. So like, that's percentage of your watch time. Like, you think YouTube doesn't work that out?
Which is what going to garner you money. It's how long.
This is Simcast. Simcast, if you don't know, Simcast, and she comments on this stuff. She's done a video about me before, and she comments on this stuff. So when I saw Armchair Detective was on her video, I thought I'd have a look. But unfortunately, it's this.
Watching your videos for, that is more important, far more important than the views.
Who are you talking to?
A lot of people.
Who am I talking to? I'm critiquing the work, so that's about it, I suppose. But who needs to know this information? Content creators. You're one of them. Where do they get it from? People like Devin Nash. other content creators who make content about content, and me, I suppose, now at this point. But is it my reason to do my YouTube videos? No. So if I wanted to talk about this all the time, I would do a YouTube channel called Let's Make Good Content, and I'd talk about content all the time. To me, it's kind of like a feature of our content that I talk about whatever comes up, and now I'm talking content about content like Inception, but it's her fault and not mine.
They don't understand YouTube, and
I think it is actually.
If you get 1 million views
sorry,
or something,
I will say. I think it is a feature of my content that I critique people on their content, like a running theme. You know, I'm like a content consultant in a bad way, a content critic, and I think that's fine. So there you go.
Tons of money on it. If I made a short video and got 5 million views on a short video, if I put out a short video and got 5 million views, that wouldn't make me any money.
No, it wouldn't. Not on its own, no. And 5 million views on a short video would equate to 10x or 100x less of a normal YouTube video relative. Like shorts are watched for such a short amount of time and they're served so many times. It's like 10, maybe 100 times different on the metrics relative. So well done, but you haven't got those, so it doesn't matter.
But if I put out a video that lasts at least 18 minutes and got 5 million views on it, that would make me a lot more money. But it's...
Yeah, because it's a fucking long video, not a short. Yes, well done for discovering what everyone has known for fucking over 2 years now. How long has it been with shorts? Like, a short doesn't make you as much money as a YouTube view. No, short views are not as lucrative.
Not the views that are as important. It is your watch time hours. I cannot stress this enough. And I never used to understand it when I started YouTube. It is your watch time that is important. It's how...
No, look, what's important is your content and engaging the audience with what you're doing. Like, this is this is why you're not successful.
Long people are spending watching, listening to you.
You're starting to annoy me now.
Hours,
because she's starting to annoy me because she's saying this, and does she not realise that this is the problem? Simcast, you're saying the problem with your YouTube channel is that people aren't watching it for long enough, the watch time hours, or that watch time hours are more important than views. So why are you wasting our time with this? You should have said, we've recently hit 400,000 views. Thank you. Well, you shouldn't have said that because you should have waited for 500,000 views or the million. Like 400 isn't a famous milestone, but 400,000 views, thank you. Great to see the channel growing. If you could keep sharing it and everything, that's great. Thank you. Right, today's episode is about... Right, and you should have probably started with today's episode is about, but like
that make the biggest impact on your channel. I want to thank everybody, even my critics, who come and listen to me and watch me and spend time because you are spending time watching and listening to me.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
you could be doing something else.
Yeah.
So even
yes,
my critics,
exactly. And at this point, most normal people would have clicked off your video because you've pointed it out to them. For me, it's entertainment. This is that's entertainment. For me, that's a laugh. That's a joke. I hope the audience understands that that's funny. To have somebody say to you in a YouTube video, you could be doing something better with your time than listening to me prattle on about a subject which isn't even on the thumbnail. I couldn't fit it on. I had too many words, but isn't even part of the thumbnail or what we're here to talk about.
I thank. For this
that is poetry. I mean, at this point, like I say, sometimes with these chuffers, like, it's mainly the true crime world that I've found a lot of these like really bad content creators is like, at this point, am I being trolled? Like, has she done this video so that I watch it? She's put Alan on it so she thinks I'll watch it, and then I'll watch it and I'll react to it and I'll say this, and then she's wasted my time and it's just a big troll. Yeah, is that what's happening here? I think that I'm being trolled by Simcast and that she's actually doing like an Ali G on me and pretending to be a thing and she's not really, and that she knows what she's doing and she's wasting my time. This is very clever of her, actually. And if she's doing that, then that's very clever. I'll tell you for why. Because it's not about the views. You only need one view then, the person you're trying to reach. And she's reached me, so job well done.
Channel. I want to thank everybody, even my critics, who come and listen to me and watch me and spend time because you are spending time watching and listening to me when you could be doing something else. So even my critics I thank for this very, it's a major achievement for me because I'm very unpopular and I know that, and I'm not striving to be popular.
Keeps going on about being unpopular. Have you got a chip on your shoulder about popularity? Because saying you're not very popular and then saying I don't care about popularity, I'm not trying to be popular, feels like you're trying to be popular, but you're unhappy about not being popular. Like, at the same time, right, I'm coming from a place where I used to have an ASMR channel. I still do, but I used to do this ASMR, and it literally was not monetized. I didn't care. My actual personal endeavor in life was trying to be a bit of a filmmaker, trying to, like, I was around going with my mate using cameras, starting to make a documentary at that time. And, you know, I was playing with using cameras, and ASMR was a good outlet for using the camera and messing about with some stuff. I listened to the videos online. I wanted to have some fun in the same way as if I was, now, if you saw, I'm a vegan, so I don't go fishing, but if you walk past me down the canal and I was fishing, you wouldn't say, oh, you're trying to be the best fisherman, are you? Trying to catch the biggest fish? No, I'm just fishing. It's just fun. You know, I'm just chilling. So I was like that. But there were people who were trying to be the biggest fish and were trying to be popular. And it was before it like really blew up on YouTube as well. So there were conversations about it. And like some people would sometimes say, you're just trying to, you know, you're just trying to say that because you haven't got loads of views or something. And I'd be like, well, look, I've got a reasonable amount of views on whispering into a microphone. I'm quite happy with that. I don't think I'm going to get 1 million views for whispering into a microphone. So I'm quite happy with that. I understand there are a few people out there who do really well on it. Good luck to them. Like, but it's probably not going to be me, and I don't care. And like, you know, I was happy just to have a smaller group of people who supported me, and it was helping me to make the content and see where it was going. We had a lot of fun. So I understand that you can feel on YouTube that people are judging you on their metrics, on their standards, which is you haven't got a lot of subscribers, you haven't got a lot of views, you're shit, you're not making it, it's not going well, YouTube isn't for you. But the truth is you don't need any of that on YouTube. You can just have fun, that's fine. And no one is to ascribe to you their level of measure of success and say, because I think views equal success, you're not successful. Agreed. I totally agree on it. But that's not what this video is supposed to be about. And nobody cares.
Popular, but I also know that a lot of these views come from people who are not fans of mine. And that's absolutely fine. You know, I never knew what was going to happen when I started my YouTube channel. I never knew what was going to...
No. Here's a question, right? Some of us do just start and mess about. With the ASMR, I had no long-term plan. You know, I didn't know what was going to happen. Of course, I was whispering into a fucking microphone. But with Super Chuffer, I did have a plan. And I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was determined I was going to make it happen. And I saw the pathwork and the road to make it happen. I planned that out. Not the Alan stuff and, you know, whatever, but I'm going to make content. I'm going to be regular. I'm going to edit it and put it up on YouTube. I'm going to work through different topics until we find the right ones where I find my vibe, my voice, and things start to go well. And I'm going to have to do it for over a year, maybe even 2, before I get any sort of proper reward out of it. And I'm going to have to work and work. And, like, you know, I had the plan. I didn't just sit down and say, right, I'll stream today and let's see, you know, I don't even know what will happen. Like, that's up to you. You know, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to have any plan when you start just going for a run. You can just see where you end up. But some people actually decide where they're going to run to and how far it's going to go and whatever. It's totally a free world to do everything. Yeah, deal.
Inspire. I never knew how.
I mean, it sounds like you didn't have a plan when you started this fucking video, because we're supposed to be talking about Watts versus Shiner's Two Sides of Gaza, and you haven't shut up about yourself.
And go. And, you know, for me, this is quite incredible because basically most of these views really do come from me just talking to you and telling you my honest opinion on something. And you have to be brave and you have to have courage to do that. You have to have a bit of ego, to be honest with you, because there's going to be a lot of people who don't like what you have to say. And you have to have that confidence and that ego, you know, just enough.
Okay, I disagree. I think you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. Of course, you've got to have some level of ego to, you know, put yourself forward and speak. Agreed. But it doesn't mean that, like, being on the internet means that you should just be, like, ignorant of everyone else's opinions and just be like, you know, maybe that's why you're unpopular as well. I walk that same line, I guess. You know, whatever. Everyone has an ego. Yeah, I agree with that. Everyone does. And it's kind of weird, like what she's saying, what she's doing is she's excusing her own narcissistic behaviour. But at the same time, she spent 4.5 minutes talking about herself and her success. So, like, it seems like you do have an ego, but maybe you should just make videos about that separately.
Ego. Not too much ego, but just enough ego to give you that confidence and that extra drive. Because you're going to have a lot of people who don't like what you have to say. And that's what I want to
I don't know what you're about to say. I haven't been able to judge it yet because you haven't fucking said it. This is my problem.
Thank you very much, guys.
And really, I'm being really harsh, and I could do it in a much nicer way. But if you gave me this as a piece of media, like imagine she handed this over to me and said, I'm about to upload this to YouTube. And I said, okay, let me have a look at that. What I'll do is I'll edit off the first, I'll let you have the thank you for 2 seconds. And then I'll edit off the 4 minutes. That's gone. Boom. And then we'll get into this screen where you've done this. I will grab one of these pictures and zoom it in. And probably have a few words that I edit on of you, like the words that you say while you're saying them to create a bit of visual effect. I don't know, maybe like a crackling fire in the background or something, but because I haven't got any video here to work with, so I've got to edit out of nothing. But I will bin this off immediately. Especially the one in the top left, which, no offense, I mean, you look nice in it, like, but I don't know if we're going for that. We don't know what we're going for really, but I'm not sure this is the place for the sort of how do I explain, when I grew up in a time before digital cameras, and when models used to work in the 80s and 90s, or before that I suppose, they used to have what's called a modelling card. And so you would have you go to a photographer and you pay money and they'd take a load of shots. So you'd have your headshots. I mean, actors used to have these as well, like a modelling card. And on the one side would be your main headshot, and on the other side it'd have several shots of you. And one of them might be the lingerie shot, or this shot, and the fireman shot, and whatever. You'd have several shots on your modelling card, and you'd have a big stack of them because you'd take them to shoots to auditions and stuff, handing out your modelling card, like a little A5 card, and it looks like someone's had a modelling card done, or done their own modelling shoot, and then put it as a combination of pictures for the shots, and it doesn't say anything about anything that we're watching, but it is an editing choice. It is an actual decision. It's not like a random thing that happened. This has definitely happened, and it says creator at the bottom as well. Again, I'm not going to over egg the pudding here, and you know what I think about this now, so I'm just going to say that I would have changed this. What's she laughing at?
This because you're going to have a lot of people who don't like what you have to say, and that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much, guys. Bam, I know you're watching this.
Bam. Oh, it's about Bam, right? So I was going to say, isn't this about Gaza? It says at the bottom, Watts versus Shiners, 2 sides of Gaza. And there was the Israel flag and Palestine and stuff like that. So... Are
you contacting departments again?
Yeah, Val's contacting departments. Sorry, Val. Press? Bam, Bam. Sorry, Bin Bin.
That Bam Bam, she's a funny one. I mean, well, depending on how you look at it. I mean, there's 2 sides. There's the smooth side and there's the sharper edge to her.
Look, there's her when she's normal, day to day, and there's her when she's sitting at home fucking snorting jars full of cocaine, smoking endless cigarettes, ranting into the YouTube, living off the fucking disability benefits of the 2 people that got under the roof. Why are we even talking about Bin Bin? Why are we talking about Bin Bin?
And I'll get onto this in a minute. I've told you, I've shared this with you, and you may not all...
You're right, True Ruby. I don't know anything about you, but you are talking about your bowels. I know there's literally no stigma. I don't have no stigmas in my chat. Quite happy with that. No stigma. But you are talking about your bowels, and it does sort of taint you in people's minds. Just bear in mind, as being interested in that subject.
No, but some of you might know that I've been deeply affected by what's been going on in the Middle East lately, and I've been watching a lot of coverage on...
Oh, okay. Are you having jokes about poopy? Okay, you're doing jokes. I see. Look, Gandalf Gives is doing it as well. You're talking so much. It's all right. It's all right. It's just I'm telling you, how it appears to me in my mind is that later on when you're in chat another time, I'll remember you and I'll say, oh, look, there's Truly Ruby. How are you? How are your shits coming along?
What's been going on? And
if you bump into someone in a public place and you want to make a good first impression and you want them to remember you, try not to associate yourself with shit in their mind, because it has negative connotations.
From the news is that people are looking at things from both sides of the coin.
Although for some people it might be you don't know. You just don't know with people. It might be quite a turn on. You just have to bump into the right person. This is why I always carry a half-inflated latex balloon in like that. give it a little pop, and some people really go for that. So you never know.
And looking at
it's an icebreaker, yeah, a blue icebreaker.
to point the finger at and who's
Is that the one, blue ice, where it comes out of the plane and it falls out of the sky and it kills people and it's frozen? That one.
Is it the Israelis? Is it the Palestinians?
Poo, I'm talking about poo that come out of the plane. When they do a poo on the plane, they fire it out of the plane, and it's called blue ice, and it flies out of the plane, and then it hits someone in the head and they die. And it's an old tale it's a tale as old as time.
And I've been watching coverage of this on First Post, which is a channel that I've
wait. With what we're talking about now.
And what I'm getting from the news is that
the news, what you're getting from the news at 5 minutes 30 into this episode with this picture. Do go on.
People are looking at things from both sides of the coin.
What?
And looking at who to point the finger at and who is to blame. Is it the Israelis? Is it the Palestinians?
Do you think? Is that what they're doing?
And I've been watching coverage of this on First Post, which is a channel that I've just discovered through this news, through what happened.
I don't know what First Post is, and I'm not going to look.
On October the 7th. And I've also been watching Piers Morgan and his debate.
Well, don't watch Piers Morgan. He's a fucking idiot arsehole who's just preaching propaganda. There's a mistake for you. There's a mistake you've made. Listening to anything Piers Morgan says about anything. Listen, if you were trying to put the lasagna in for dinner and you wanted to see what Piers, could you read the cooking instructions off the side of the box, please? How many degrees heat and how long do I put this lasagna in the oven? And then, like, you come back later and the lasagna's fucking raw or burned or something because you listen to Piers Morgan. Like, you're making basic errors there. Don't listen to Piers Morgan. That's a huge mistake. And Dover and Dolly's one, I totally agree. The poo report, when I take my dog for a walk, when I come back, I always want to give the poop report. I feel like I need a little news desk. Today's poop report is Marlo did one and Charlie wouldn't do hers until right near the house, and then we had to pick it up off the neighbour's garden. Poop report. You know, I always give a little poop report about who's done what poops on the dog walk.
It's with Palestinians. And, you know, some of these videos that he's doing is getting like 4 million views in just a few days.
She's interested in this person that's getting millions of views. I thought it's not about the views.
50 million views. And I realise that a lot of people like to see debating, and people like to see things that are contra. For example, if I was to get Bam or Bis Mensa on my channel...
I think she's confused again. Like, I don't know who this channel is. She's only just discovered them, right? Okay. I'm going to have to do this.
In just a few days, 50 million views. Do what happened at the coin. What's been going on in the Middle East lately. And I've been watching a lot of coverage on what's been going on. And what I'm getting from the news is that people are looking at things from both sides of the coin and looking at who to point the finger
What's
at.
The channel that
she
said?
Is it the Israelis? Is it the Palestinians? And I've been watching coverage of this on First Post, which is a channel.
First Post, okay. Watch this be a channel that's done lots of videos about stuff and has had, like, watch their thumbnails be regular, repeating pattern, makes sense, and watch them have covered other stuff and had this, like, repeating pattern of understanding how to cover, create content, ride the wave of trend, stuff like that. Watch this. What? It can't be this cricket. Cup of Dreams. Oh no, it's a news channel. Okay, it's a news channel, but why does it look different to me with Rupa Rupani? I think this is an Asian-based, I think it's like, because cricket is big in India. I think this channel is, it might be English-speaking, but I think it's aimed, I think it might be Indian. Hang on, about. At First Post, we focus on facts, keep the noise out, and bring you some stories from across the globe, focusing through the Indian lens. Yeah, so it's an Indian news channel. It might be right-wing. India has quite a lot of right-wing... like the right wing have more money in the main because they're the bad capitalists, aren't they? And in India at the moment, their government is quite right wing. The president, or whatever you'd call him, Modi, is quite a right wing government. So there is a bit of a sort of, you know, centre rightist sort of vibe about Indian politics at the moment, I guess. This doesn't state any particular political allegiance, and it might be independent, but it's on YouTube, and it says aim to present an alternative view on global affairs, defying the norm and opening the door to new perspectives. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what politically, you know, when you're doing news, you either want to be stating that you are unbiased, the left quite obviously state we are left-leaning, but the right don't tend to say it, but they are. So I don't know. Okay, let's have a look at, they've got lives and videos. So what do? They do lives all the time, streaming all the time. Okay, let's see how long they've been going. Just go home and about, they've been going since 2019. Their video content 4 years ago was voices from the lockdown. Interesting. So they started up during lockdown, talking to people, mainly no video, just audio. I think they probably had a podcast on a different platform like Spotify or something, and they also uploaded to YouTube because they don't appear to be focused on the video content. And at some point they start focusing on the video content, reporting on like little clips, newsy sort of clips, Bangalore Northeast, Indian themed newsy sort of news clips, and they start to pick up a few views from that. I'm guessing they don't get many YouTube views, and it's a live streaming channel then, as I scroll through this from years ago. Not picking up, but they're persisting with it. They're doing what you have to, which is to not give up and say, right, it's not working exactly. But maybe they've got backers, maybe they've got people who are helping to support, pay for this media. The oldest stream started up 10 months ago, and as predicted, 10 months ago, you're getting 30,000, 1.2 thousand, 1,000, 17. What was that? 30,000. Christmas celebrations in Jerusalem live. Makes sense. You'd get, a live stream of that. We'd get a bunch of views. So experimenting with live streaming, discovering 10 months ago that Israel and Jerusalem and the politics of this is interesting to their audience, or at least interesting to an audience, and they're picking up on it with their live streams. And they're maintaining live streams at this sort of time a year ago. YouTube were pushing them a bit more, it was newer, more popular. They were trying to promote that content. So the live streams are doing okay in general. They're talking about the Pope and stuff, which is weird. Oh, he died, so they're covering it as news. There's Modi, the Prime Minister Modi, addressing the nation. So yeah, they're like a mid-range sort of independent news outlet. There's, look, Zelensky and Richie Sunak. It feels a little bit right-wing. There's Modi again. But without any overt right-wing bias, I can't, state that. Their most popular stuff on the live streams, Israel-Hamas war 2 weeks ago. And you'd think so, wouldn't you? They're poised now, talking about Israel since a year ago as a theme on their live streams that regularly get about 1 to 10,000 views, doing okay. Their video content and the latest little clips, news-based India, that hasn't changed necessarily, but they've refined it to talk about the stories that really make the views and get the interest, the main headlines, essentially. They've refined it a bit, which is better. And their thumbnails, as predicted, look at these thumbnails. Each and every one, you can see a picture of the human being in the face that you are going to look at. Taylor Swift, for example, you can see that it's what it says in the thumbnail. They've gone a bit wordy for me, but it's a news thing. Headline, picture, and underneath, supplemental words which aren't in the thumbnail, which are different, which have a human interest aspect. What's behind the Taylor Swift phenomenon? It says Taylor Swift, pop music and politics. What's behind the Taylor Swift phenomenon? It makes sense. And they've included the Indian lady with her sari, like, the branding on every single thumbnail. So I would really think that's a bit too much because you can hardly see the detail of the picture of the lady, but it's branding, it's on every thumbnail. So when you see one of these thumbnails, what it is, who's doing it. If you're watching their stuff, you see it come up in your thing, that's one of their thumbnails, that's them. And that's their topic for today. So this is making sense. They've actually done something very clever here as well. The Indian World Cup cricket thing is in purple background with a different lady picture, but it's the same vibe. So there are different fonts, but they're for different topics. So each topic has its own thumbnail type, and they make sense. Consistency. So that makes sense. They've refined and they understand how to do that. And then their most popular stuff here is 2 weeks ago, Hamas terror attacks. So 3 months ago, they had a popular video of over 1 million views. Richie Sunak's son-in-law visit India, 1.6 million views. So the Indian politics and the war in Jerusalem, and apparently Germany's recession there, has been managing to breach over 1 million views in their videos consistently for a few months now. They kicked off, they started to hit the algorithm and grow, particularly when they refined their thumbnails and focused in on the stories that made most sense for a wider audience to gather big news traction, because they're a news channel and a smaller news channel, which I think my guess here, my thinking is it's a small team of her, maybe one or two other people. Somebody's a researcher, somebody's an editor, somebody's a presenter. Maybe she does all jobs herself, and I'm underestimating what one motivated individual can create. But it looks like at this point, with this number of views and this number of subscribers, over 2 million, then you would have a team working with you, and the content is essentially making itself to formula now, because you've refined the formula, which isn't that complicated, because it really is like the news. So there you go. How can you possibly think that now that I understand what they're doing and how they've done that, and it's not just recently they had this kickoff with Israel and Hamas, it's not just recently, but it did take them 2 years to figure it all out and get it right. Let's hear again what she thinks about this.
That I've just discovered through this news, through what happened on October the 7th. And I've also been watching Piers Morgan and his debates with
Piers fucking Morgan.
And, some of these videos that he's doing is getting like 4 million views in just a few days, 50 million views. And I realise that a lot of people like to see debating, and people like to see things that are contrary.
Right, so that channel that she's been watching, I don't know about Piers Morgan, maybe she's more referencing Piers Morgan there, the debating, so I should, stand corrected. But that one channel wasn't doing anything to do with debating. It was hard work and solid, consistent reporting. I just examined it. Piers Morgan, the reason they watch Piers Morgan is because they're right-wing arseholes who want to see him give someone a load of shit. Oh, you think you're clever because you're trans, do you? Well, where's your fucking dick then, you fucking tranny bastard? Like, that's Piers Morgan saying that, or, like whatever right-wing politics that they're trying to pump down your throat today. Because, like, oh, we should all be worried about our heating bills because it's the winter. And instead, I'm angry about trannies going in the fucking changing rooms. Like, because of that and the politics, that's why they're watching. It's just a fucking whip circus. Like, if you don't understand Piers Morgan properly, fair enough. It's not because people like debating. Like, it's not because they like debating. Otherwise, they'd watch the Oxford Union debates. They probably do quite. Hang on, I bet that gets millions of views as well, doesn't it? Maybe they do like debating. Actually, stand corrected as well. People do like debating on Twitch when Destiny debates with them, so they do like a bit of that. I actually agree. I don't personally, really, but I think they maybe do. Oxford Union debate. They've got their own channel, haven't they, for this? Oxford Union. 13k there 1 month ago. 8.1 thousand views 2 months ago. 10 million views 10 years ago for Islam is a peaceful religion. So it varies. But the debates don't consistently get millions of views. No. Strange that, actually. Because you would think that this is the highest quality debate content there is at the Oxford Union, but not really. Although there are a lot of videos they get that get millions of views because they get, big high-end people in there, don't they? Interesting stuff. Come on then, where are you now?
If I was to get Bam or Miss Mensa on my channel, which I would like to do a collaboration.
No, are you fucking stupid? If you get Bam on your channel, then bin on your channel, then she'll get you binned off because she'll just scream a load of weird obscenities, and then you're responsible for all of that. Like, you do not want bin on your show. Like, there's a level, there's a low that you don't go below. Like, in terms of like, oh, I'm desperate for popularity, so I'll get a controversial guest on. Well, why don't we get fucking, why don't we get one of those big Nazis on to do a load of racism? Yeah, that'll be good. They'll do some really controversial racism. No, then you're just platforming a nutter.
Opposing opinions to on my channel one day, and have just have it out with them, because I actually look at what's going on in Gaza a bit like the Watts and the Shiners scenario, where you have people on opposing sides and you've got little splinter groups who have very, very different opinions.
It's a bit like the Watts stuff, the Gaza stuff. It's not.
I've shared with you what my opinion is. I believe that Chris did this on his own. I don't believe MK was involved.
Why are we talking about Chris? Well, okay, fair enough. It is titled Watts versus Shiners, Two Sides of Gaza. So I do appreciate now you're bringing in Chris Watts and the Gaza case together. Sorry, Gaza case.
That's it. I don't believe anyone else was involved. I believe Chris did this on his own, and I think he planned it. My old friend Bam, she believes something opposite, although we do have some similar opinions. I do.
Okay, but with Gaza, it's like a much more complicated situation, isn't it? And Chris Watts didn't do anything in Gaza.
I do agree with her that the environment that Chris was living in was claustrophobic. I believe that he wanted to end the environment that he was living in. I think he wanted a new...
Where does the armchair detective come into this?
Clean slate. And I think me and Bam both agree that Ed K wasn't involved, or at least That's what it seems to be the case for both of us.
No, when I speed it up
But
to
when it comes to other
1.5,
things-
when I speed it up to 1.5, it becomes better. It's like easier to listen to.
And surrounding things, associated things, we have very different opinions. And I think we were probably going to clash at some point. One of her opinions was that AD was going to get compensation.
There he is.
He was going to get paid for loss of earnings. She had this obsession. Bam had this obsession that AD was going to get compensation for loss of earnings. For the time his channel wasn't in use. There was a short time before all of this happened. You know,
Are you nuts? You know, to prove loss of earnings, you'd have to have like accounts. You know, Alan doesn't keep the accounts, does he? He burns them all. Loss of earnings, you probably have to go back 2 years for your accounts or something and prove it, that, you know, you consistently make this money. And then you'd have to prove that whatever it was, you know, prevented you from it. And with YouTube, you've signed a contract with YouTube to say that I am completely beholden to you and your monetization system. And if you want to pull the rug at any time, you go ahead. So they would, in court, they'd say, Your Honour, I'm not responsible for their loss of earnings. They signed a contract with YouTube that said they could have the rug pulled at any time. YouTube pulled the rug, and the court would say, yeah, you did that. That's you. You did that. You don't have any grounds for that. Silly.
he was taken down eventually.
It's just silly.
Where his channel wasn't, he wasn't allowed to upload to his channel, and she credited herself for taking him down, but she never took him down.
God, Bin Bin's going to be furious because this woman's just bringing up a load of stuff from the past that Bin Bin said, apparently. I mean, apparently Bin Bin said fucking loads of stuff, haven't they? But like, who gives a shit?
It's just that he wasn't allowed to upload for a period of time. And she said to me many times in the past that he can get compensation for loss of earnings for during that time, and compensation for other things that people have said about him.
Compensation?
So should NK get compensation for
From
the fact
who?
that he pointed the finger in her direction? I don't think so. She had this obsession that AD was going to get compensation for loss of earnings.
No one's talking about this in 2023.
I never ever saw where she was coming from with that, but I think she got annoyed when she saw that I wasn't buying that. And you know, she would almost say, AD's going to win, AD's going to win, AD's going to win. And she would like push that agenda that AD was going to win and that AD was going to get compensation. And she actually wanted him to get compensation, despite the fact that she claimed many things about him.
Win what?
I always said, it's never going to happen.
Win what?
And AD's not going to get compensation. And I don't think she liked that very much. She very much had this fantasy that AD was going to get some kind of compensation and teach the Rusex a lesson.
So what's this got to do with Gaza? I mean, what are Shiners, for a start, as well? That's in the title. Shiners, Two Sides of Gaza. What's versus Shiners, Two Sides of Gaza? What are Shiners? And what's going on?
It's never going to happen now, especially now that he's gone. It's not going to happen. Another thing that I disagree with her on, and like I said, this is me talking about the opposing sides of the coin,
Right.
just like what's going on in Gaza. You know, Israeli versus Palestinians. And
Are you saying that the Truth of Community schism regarding Alan and the Rusick case is similar to a load of people being kidnapped and murdered by a militant Islamic group funded by Iran, sent in there probably at the not behest but complete acknowledgement of Mossad and the secret forces in Israel, who allowed people, normal people, kids going to a music festival, to be collateral damage in their war of hearts and minds, and that allowed Israel to just kick off the worst, most horrific obliteration of a people. Genocide is the correct word, I think, because they won't let them out, and they insist, go to the south, and when they're moving, they're bombing them. You know, we've all seen these things, we've all seen them. I don't want to go too deep into it because it makes me feel sad. But yeah, like, that is very similar to the way that you don't agree with Bin Bin about what Alan thinks about his court case. I mean, are you going to go around her house and like? I mean, Bin Bin does say a lot of weird shit, doesn't she? Like, she's going to, tear your skin off and stuff. So maybe Bin Bin can be, what is she? Bin Bin is Hamas, and that makes you Israel, I suppose. And like, what are you going to do? You're going to fucking bomb her house? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? This is a really weird contrast to draw, comparison to draw. The horrific and tragic loss of life in Israel, and you're not as popular on YouTube and Bin Bin's cross. Who is Bin Bin? Bin Bin. I call her Bin Bin. She is... she's got a mouth on her. She does live streams and she deletes them immediately after, so you can't see them, but we've got a few clips somewhere. I don't like talking Bin Bin because it's like the equivalent of being angry at, like, you know, if you go in the park and you're walking your dog and there's like some tramp on the bench and they're like half pissed themselves and they're rolling around on the floor and they like start, as you walk past, they're like, oh, fuck you fucking come too close to me, you fucking, what you doing, fucking come close to me, you fucking get away from me, you fucking, and you're like, all right, I don't care, leave it alone. I don't have to argue with you. Oh, your opinions on my fucking Discord are different from your opinion. You're like, fuck your opinions. You stay on the tramp bench and I'm just going to fucking leave. It's that, but on YouTube. I wonder where I might have, I don't even, you know what, I don't even want to, I've got on my hard drive somewhere, I've got a load of stuff she said about me, you know, specifically, but I don't even want to get it out and play it. I don't like poking that bear particularly because it doesn't serve any purpose. She is, in my opinion, what she is, and she gets well eggy and like will do like 8 hours of like fucking horror, and like she'll say all sorts of shit, like, you know, accusing me of like doing an internet rape, or like, you know, she'll say all sorts of fucking weird shit, and it doesn't matter to me because I don't care, because like she's got no credibility whatsoever. She's a full nutter. But behind the scenes as well, some of Alan's people, Alan himself and some of her friends, they do doxing people, calling up people's parents, you know, doxing their parents. You know, they do weird shit behind the scenes, like being one level on from trolling on the internet to like making it personal. And so I don't really tend to, like, I don't do that, and I don't, it's not that I'm scared of them and don't want to fuck with them. I've got all their details and they've been passed to the police. Like, it's just like, what the fuck are you doing, you nutters? Like, they're a sad, horrible, nasty bunch of people, and they've got their chip on their shoulder from years ago because this one creator, Alan Vinicum, was a shit as well, and is being sued by the family of Shannon Watts. Got murdered by Chris Watts. Chris Watts murdered his kids as well, and then Alan said a load of shit about them on the internet, so their family are suing Alan. Like,
you know, Watts versus Shiners, because I see what's going on there very much like that. This idea that Chris snapped, I don't agree with. I don't buy that for 1 second. What he did was a lot more than a snap. You know, this was an entire family.
God, why are we talking about this?
That's more than just snapping. Snapping is when, you know, somebody accidentally spills coffee over you, which has happened to me at one time, and you have a tantrum or something over it.
You've had a tantrum because someone spilled coffee on you, you mean?
A snap is, what he did was far, far more.
No, see, she's wrong there even. The tantrum is not snapping. Snapping would be someone spilled coffee on you and you jumped up and threw the table over and then you fucking realised and calmed the fuck down. Like, but you're saying someone spilled coffee and you had a fucking 2-hour tantrum and you had to... It has happened to me before. It's about you again. I fucking love Simcast for this. You know, this is why I watch and react to her stuff. Is because she's managed to turn the Chris Watts murder and his mental state to a story about herself when someone spilled coffee on her and she had a tantrum.
That's completely discarding people. That's not a snap. And he knew exactly what he was doing.
What are we talking... Get on. Come on.
Her idea that... Shanann made him do this.
Oh, what? I hate this stuff. I'm going to skip.
Channel who have opposing opinions, and I try to let everyone get their voice, or let their voice be heard on my channel.
Do you? Oh, come on.
Despite what their opinion is, as long as they are respectful.
Respectful.
At some point, people are going to clash over their opinions because, like I said, you know, I just don't believe NK was involved. But there are people who I have as subs who are adamant that she was involved.
So what's the point?
Who come to my channel who are adamant that she was involved.
Listen, so what's the point in your debate? What are you saying? We're going to have a debate where you tell me your side and I don't believe you, and then I'll tell you my side and you don't believe me. And you've had your opinion now for 5 years, and I'm not going to change it, and no one's going to change it. So what are we doing having this debate? Someone's disagreeing with Star Rays. Why? What's happening? Are you okay in chat having a disagreement? Is something missing? Am I missing something? I don't see anything for you to disagree with. Everything all right? Everything's good? I think you're confused, yeah.
Get upset with me because I don't buy it. Just like Bam, I think she would get annoyed when I didn't buy that AD was going to get this compensation. And I think she even made a comment about, you know, AD coming back.
Oh, I see. You disagree. You think Alan's more vile than... We're disagreeing on who's the most vile. It's all right, yeah.
And she doesn't seem to understand that he was really taken down this time. And not because of anything that she did. That he was just taken down, and if he's going to come back, it's going to be like a Natasha thing. You know, it's going to be like Natasha Cooper evading. So
he's not coming back.
We definitely have very, very, very different opinions, and I think she has an agenda. I think Frankie should.
She's got an agenda. She's got 0.5 gram of cocaine. She's fucking sitting there just getting high. She hasn't got an agenda. She just fucking loves listening to herself rant. Like, she's a fantasist in her own mind about going and punching people in. I'll fucking do you in the fucking streets, and I'll fucking make it real in the fucking. I'll do this. Yeah, fucking nutser.
The people who gave him, donated to him, I think he should refund them, but he's not going to do it. And it doesn't matter how much noise she makes about it, he's not going to do it. I do feel sympathy for people who did donate, but at the same time,
we're talking about this again. This is boring.
You know,
we've talked about that a million times.
And it's always.
Oh, she changed the pictures. Hang on, wait.
Get online and say give people refunds. He's never going to do it. Frankie wants money. He doesn't want to give money. He wants money for whatever reason. There's a lot more that I could say here because Bam and I were close and we talked often and we did share.
So the picture changed to include Netanyahu in the bombed out Gaza, and it's got fucking nothing to do with anything.
A lot.
Are you saying that you are Biden and Bam is Netanyahu now?
And I never told her anything that I wouldn't tell you. I just would probably tell you in a different way. And it's always a little bit sad when a friendship hits roadblocks or.
What are you talking about? The woman is a fucking mess. A friendship.
But that's life. That's part of life, and we have to have tools, learn ways in which to deal with certain things in life because that's what makes us stronger and better. But I don't regret any of the associations that I've had on YouTube because I've learned a great deal from my time on YouTube.
It's about you again.
And from being close to her. She told me a lot.
It's probably all a load of bollocks.
I can say that I've never seen somebody that has such dislike for the R's as much as her. But anyway, I'm getting more political in this part of the podcast. And
podcast now?
I can't say the H word.
What is the H? What is the H word?
You know what happened on October the 7th in Israel? You know who did it?
You mean Hamas? You can't say Hamas. Why not? I'm pretty sure all of those channels that you just referenced that had millions and millions of views, they've been saying it.
I can't say the H word, so I'm just going to call them armchair generals.
What?
And I tell you, I've been watching this channel.
Alan is now Hamas.
First Post. If you have any interest in this topic, go to First Post. I think their coverage is very interesting.
Why not show it on the screen then?
But one of the things that seems apparent, or may be apparent, is that the leaders of this organization live 5-star luxury, affluent lives while their people are, living as second-class citizens. So while they're saying people should stay in Gaza, they're living in places like Turkey and Qatar, and they're living very wealthy, affluent lives. Their children are real estate tycoons. They have businesses. They can get to travel in and out of the country and anywhere they want. They could be living in America. Some of them could be living in America. Some of them could be living in London. Some of them could be living in Australia or New Zealand. They can.
Okay, it seems a bit wild now. I mean, I do understand there are leaders of Hamas that have moved out from. Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos about people talking about these things from affluent places, but I don't know exactly where they are. And if you wanted to make a video about it, you could probably make a video about that. That sounded like a good idea for a video. But you don't want to mention their names, and you just want to throw around these ideas without any possible grounding or backing. Just like suggestions. They're out there. They could be in London.
Travel wherever they want. They have freedom. While they're people who they.
I mean, the thing is, Hamas. Don't get me wrong, Dover and Dolly's mom. Hamas themselves, like the people that are doing the bad thing, they are bad, but they don't obviously represent the Gazans because they haven't been able to have free elections in the last fucking loads of years, have they? So I'm not pro Hamas. But I am pro Gaza, free Gaza, I should say, or anti-bombing hospitals. I'm definitely against bombing hospitals. We'll say that.
I would say, or proclaim to care about, are living as second-class citizens and need aid. Now, I don't know about you. What do you guys think about Biden's trip to Israel? Does Biden never open his eyes? I'm just kidding. I'm actually, like I said, I'm part Democrat, part Republican, so I don't have a. She sits on the fence with politics. She doesn't have. I'm part Democrat. You're not either a Democrat or a Republican. You don't vote in America. You're English. Okay? You're British. You don't vote in America, so you're not a Democrat and you're not a Republican. The only people who are Democrats and Republicans are people who are in the Democratic or Republican Party and have paid money to be in it. Everyone else is people who vote for it. And they call themselves a Democrat or Republican because they vote for it. And if you're American, you can say and talk like that. But if you're British, it doesn't matter because you're not. You can talk about the politics and say, okay, I would be a Democrat if I were in America. I get it. You could sort of say I'm a Democrat, but you're not really, are you? And she's saying she's not either.
Because, of course, she's not either. She doesn't have to understand any of the politics. Like, I don't know what your opinion on the fucking First Amendment is. I don't know what your opinion on the right to bear arms is, because you don't have to have one, because you've never had to live in a world where that has been part of your fucking politics. It's just fucking weird.
I pretty much like Biden, so,
And you're right, the Electoral College makes the decision, yes.
I don't have anything. I think where you stand on this topic, I mean, there's just so much that goes into it, because...
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
It's like with the shiners and the whats, I can see things from both sides of the coin. I have sympathy for both Israelis who experienced that on October the 7th. Great.
Well, obviously the people who got kidnapped I've got sympathy for, and the families, but the Israeli nation on the whole, like, don't all have a right then to go and fucking do what they did. I mean, I don't know. Like, again, it's far too complex for that, isn't it? But I wouldn't really go around, me personally, I'm not going to be going around saying I've got so much sympathy for Israel in this situation, because it seems like the world's sympathy should be more pointed at the devastation in Gaza.
Sympathy, but I also have sympathy for the Palestinians. Great sympathy. And
no, they don't say.
People, and one of the reasons why I'm unpopular is because I see things from both sides, and I realise that there's shades of grey in everything, in almost everything, and almost every topic.
No, there's a lot of grey on the ground in Gaza, because everything's been blown up and it's just all dust and it's just laying over everything and it's all grey. But the shades of grey for the people that are getting blown up are, I was at the hospital and now I'm fucking dead. Like, there's not that many shades of grey for the people that live on the ground in Gaza, are there? They're getting murdered.
And that things are not necessarily just black and white. There's a lot of history. I was going through some history today. I've never been into...
Yes, there's a lot of history, yeah. I mean, the problem, like you say, Jerusalem, Saladin, the Crusades, where do you want to start?
in history. One of my parents was, but I never was. And I was reading about...
You'd probably have to go back further, wouldn't you, to when Abraham killed his... or was going to kill his son, and God was speaking to him out the burning bush. I think that's where you have to go back to if you want to start the debate about who has got right and responsibility. Or is it the first Temple of Solomon? Do you have to go back to that? I mean, how far back do you want to go to try and or decide who's right in this squabble? I mean, maybe you can't and you don't, and there is no who's right. And maybe the right thing to do is just not to kill each other. We need to decide who's right based on not who's got the religious right to access this and that, but if you want to do some killing and bad killing, that's wrong. Right? Maybe we need different parameters around what's right and wrong and who has a right to this and a right to that, because people gonna have to live. People gonna have to live side by side as well, because if they both want to go, it's like one of these when you're kids, if you both want it, I'll either cut it in half and you can each have a half, or none of you are getting it and I'm throwing it in the bin. All right, you both want it, I'm either cutting it in half, one of you cut, the other choose, and then we'll have no more about it. Otherwise, the cake's going in the bin. I'll eat the cake, and then none of you can have cake.
People in this country. We have a sizable Jewish population in London, and I live in the Totteridge area, which is
You've got a sizable population of everything in London.
An affluent area. And Jews in certain parts of the world are known to be affluent.
Oh my God!
You take somewhere like New York. Originally,
listen, you're not gonna believe this, but Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou just had a big fight in Saudi Arabia of all places, and that's quite far from the same politics as Israel. It's quite a different culture, but there's affluent people all over the world, yeah. But I don't think do we really want to be like the Jews are rich, wealthy Jew bankers? Is that where we're going to go? I mean, there are wealthy people and there are poor people all over the world. I get it. And there is a bit of an issue with the old stereotyping of Jews being wealthy bankers. Like that's very close to what the areas that were trodden in terms of Hitler and the racism. At the same time, I do understand the truth of the matter is that when the Jewish populations emigrated from Europe because of the Nazis and went to America, finance, certain industries, as well as the entertainment industry and stuff, became their when you've got a culture of people who all focus in a certain trade or work and trade amongst each other and have this trust, this network, it helped it to grow. And they do have a certain not the culture of Judaism, but the Jewish descendants of the people that emigrated to America have been successful in certain industries. So, but then so has everyone, haven't they? People from all over the world have been successful in America, haven't they? Isn't that the deal in America? I know this is difficult as well, because I know that there's going to be some people out there who are well Kanye'd up, or but really I just think it's a bit weird that we should point at one race, culture, or religion and say, right, it's them that's the right. Not all bankers are Jewish. not all rich people are like. Anyway, like this is me getting a bit. I'm sure that she knows this, and I'm sure she's not really racist. But I was shocked that she just, we've got all different kinds of cultures in London. We've got a lot of Jews here, and they're very rich. Okay.
And Jews in certain parts of the world are known to be affluent. You take somewhere like New York. Originally, the Jews of New York were affluent, educated people.
Originally, they came in on fucking boats from Europe without anything other than their fucking little suitcases, didn't they? Even if they still had them, wasn't it that there was a big? Am I wrong in this? I don't know. I'm not. Am I wrong? American culture people might have to tell me right. Isn't the reason there were lots of Jewish people in other countries around the world because Hitler tried to murder them all in the war? I think it was something to do with that.
The Italians, the Irish were working class.
Too political, says Dover and Dolly's mum.
The Puerto Ricans were working class.
I mean, I'm surprised she's doing this as her podcast, and the things she's saying, it's just, I can't help it. She's doing it. We can talk about it. We can do a whole season on Jewish people, how they moved around the world, like what they do in their jobs. Like, we can talk about it. Like, it's okay to talk about people, and even Jewish people. Like, I love all people, really. I don't think that by nature of being born a Jew, you're like some fucking evil money grubber. I just don't think it. And I know that there are some bad people in positions of power that have been Jewish, are Jewish. And I know that there's some bad people in positions of power that are not as well. And I know that you could say, like, talk about these. I know where it goes, but like, I just think it's all a bit.
The Jews were considered, the more affluent people. And wherever Jews go, they tend to flourish. However, wherever Jews go, they tend to have this happen to them as well. And reading about the history of the Jews in this country was really quite an eye-opener, because I had no idea. Many of the Jewish people in England who have settled in London, and like I said, in the Totteridge area, Barnet, such areas, there's a high population of Jews. Golders Green has one of the highest population of Jews in this country. And, I haven't had that many Jewish friends, but I do love Jewish matzo ball soup, Jewish penicillin. I love
soup and penicillin, so Jews are all right.
Their food. I think Jewish culture is beautiful and wonderful. And I think Arab culture is wonderful. So, I'm not necessarily...
She pulled that back round.
On either side. I think it comes to a point where it doesn't matter who's wrong or right anymore.
Right, some of the Jewish people, this is racism, because she's like, I like Jewish people, I like their culture, I like the soup, so I might be on their side. But I also know some Arabs who are quite nice at the kebab shop, I might be on their side. Like, not all Jewish people support the action in Gaza. Like, by being born Jewish by faith and by following the faith in your life, it doesn't mean that you want to kill the Muslims. Israel is a country of people. Okay, they're majority Jewish by religious faith, and there's a lot of but Israel is a state, and they're people that are doing things. The religious bit comes into the arguments, and it comes into their reasons and this and that, but it's not. They're people that are doing things. They're not Jews doing things. It's not the Jews are doing this. It's the Israeli state that are doing this. And they happen to be Jewish, yes. And you could say the Jews are doing this, but you know what I mean? Like, every Jew will have their own individual opinions on everything. And sometimes they will really align, socially, politically, whatever. But other times they will quite be different. So I think it's kind of a racist mistake to think that, like, I like the Jews around the corner, they're nice, so I might be on their side. But those Jews around the corner who do the nice soup, they might not agree with the actions in Gaza. So they might disagree with you on you being on their side. And I think you have to be careful about that, and not to see people as groups of people by stereotype, but instead as individuals who have their own feelings and thoughts, who happen to also fit into these Venn diagrams of, population, demographics and faith. But of course, when we're talking about the war in Palestine, in the main on the news, when they say, the Jewish army or whatever, they're talking about, they're not talking, they're talking about the Jewish army because of the Israeli, army. They probably don't, on the news, they probably don't say Jewish army, do they? They probably say Israeli army, don't they? I'm probably right here in saying that they don't say the Jews doing this and the Jews are doing that. Like, they probably call them the Israelis because it's about the Israeli state having a conflict in Gaza. And I know that we talk about it on these other levels and we all do it. But I feel like her to say this in her podcast at this late stage is just like, and the way she, it's this thing of, I'm not racist because I've got a black friend. But like, the thing you said sounded a little bit contrived and condescending towards Jews, I
I haven't
suppose.
had that many Jewish friends, but I do love Jewish matzo ball soup, Jewish penicillin. I do love their food. I think Jewish culture is beautiful and wonderful.
I haven't had that many Jewish friends, but I do love the soup. I don't know that many Chinese people, but I do love a chicken chow mein. Oh my God. Simcast. Like, do you know why I fucking love Simcast now, don't you? Because you get things like this. It's just like, what did she say? What did she say? Like, and she recorded this and edited it and then put it up on YouTube.
Jews, Golders Green has one of the highest populations of Jews in this country, and I haven't had that many Jewish friends, but I do love Jewish matzo ball soup, Jewish penicillin. I do love their food. I think Jewish culture.
Jewish penicillin is they call chicken soup Jewish penicillin, don't they? Because when you're sick, mother will make you some chicken soup, and it does have remedial properties because of some of the ingredients in the chicken soup actually are good for you, sort of thing. So that's what she means when she says penicillin. So she knows a bit of the culture, yeah. But I do love the soup.
Country, and I haven't had that many Jewish friends, but I do love Jewish matzo ball soup, Jewish penicillin. I do love their food.
Pick up Gandalf. I could see what you were saying in chat, but calm down, please. Careful about talking about cultures as like a group. Again, like, Jews are nicer and don't shout. Like, I mean, some Jews are, but some Jews are really mean. Like, but other Jews are quite nice. Like, Jews are people. Like, you can interchange the word Jews there with people, and then you've got the same sentence that makes sense to me. But anytime anyone says Muslims or blacks or Jews or English people, or like, imagine saying the English and just describing the English. And then you have to include me and Alan and you and or maybe you're Welsh, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Imagine describing the English, and then we all have to be represented by Philip Schofield or someone. Like, it's just like, what? Well, we're all different, like way different. And like, English is a country, but okay, Christians or something like that. It doesn't make sense to me. So I can't. Like, and the other thing is, like, culturally, I totally agree with this idea, though, that you could say, well, I'm talking about in general, wearing the big hat and having the clothes and the curly thing, and you don't eat you eat fish and you don't eat the pork, and the jokes and the comedians and the culture, and okay, like, and a sort of there is a sort of social. Like, we're talking about socialization and culture. So, people will recognize the archetype of a Jewish mother, and they will recognize the archetype of the Jewish jokes work. When I say Jewish jokes, I mean Jewish comedians telling jokes about Jewish culture work because we can recognize and reflect on those cultural archetypes. Yeah. And everyone's mom has all done something a bit similar sometimes, but, you like Jews. Tottenham is my team. So that's cool. Like the Yids. But like, it's, so there is that, I agree with that. You could say, like, Seinfeld wouldn't exist if you couldn't talk in terms of the Jews, would it? But at the same time, like, the thing I'm critiquing her here on is something that, like, I just think we should all be careful not to. Yids is racist now, yeah, but I don't care, because, like, Tottenham, their nickname is the Yids, but it is racist now. But it is their nickname. But they sing it. You sing it. Like, Tottenham fans sing it about themselves. So what am I supposed to do? It's a weird one, that is, isn't it? I'm obviously not dropping any N-bombs, but, like, what I mean? It's a weird one. It's just a football terminology to me. Again, not racist. But yeah, we're just saying about be careful labelling people to skin as discrimination. Yeah, that's basically it, isn't it? Like, I refuse to acknowledge that we can talk in those terms, even though I think we can sort of sometimes talk in those terms, but I think it's about context. So the problem here is, if the context was, like, let me find a better way of explaining this to you by showing you a comedian who I love. There's a Modi, and I'll put Modi Jew like that and search for Modi Jew, and it's going to bring him up. Look, that's the best way to search for Modi, just Modi Jew. Not Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, but the Jew. And here he is. And he does some videos, some shorts. And let's do him saying something about Jewish people. And then there's another one about New Yorkers there, which will probably be interesting. But a bit of, this is a Jewish comedian doing Jewish stuff. So.
And then they all yell, Ahayin! Ha, you yell, Hayin! That means life! In the middle of the blessing, in the middle of the bracha, they yell, Hayin! And they have no idea why. You have, why? Do you know why you yell Chaim in the middle of a bracha? No idea. Thank God I'm here tonight.
They're all laughing, but he's referring to a group of Jews doing the thing that they all do. Isn't it racist? But he can't be racist because he's a Jew and he's doing it about his own culture. But aren't we making, stereotypes that cover all the people? Yeah, and we are, and it's comedy, and it's for comedic purposes, and everyone gets it and has a laugh, yeah? So that's, I think, fine, even if it does involve some sort of stereotyping, to be honest, self-stereotyping, acknowledgement of stereotype. I think what we do with comedy is we discover the stereotypes exist, we acknowledge them through comedy, we explore them and we laugh at how silly they are sometimes, and we acknowledge that some part of us is part of that stereotype, but also, we're not really, are we? And it's comedy and we can explore and talk. But the difference in what is happening with this is this, to all intents and purposes, ostensibly, big up to Steve of the Dead, is a podcast about why the Watts case is like the Gaza conflict, and like in that context referring to people as the Jews specifically, I don't know which side of this conflict I'm like. What she said was, I don't know if I support Gaza or Israel because there's some Jews down the road and I like their soup. And it's like, what? They also say not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslim. Well, I'd argue with that because I know people who got shot by Irish people, and I know that the Irish people think of the British as being pretty fucking bad when it comes to doing bad things in Ireland. And I didn't do any of that. That was before I was born, bear in mind. So I don't want any fucking repercussions here on me, like opinions about Ireland. I don't have them. I think Britain was bad. I think the terrorism was bad. But I grew up, the Birmingham pub bombings. I grew up in a world where bombs were going off and it was Irish people doing it. Now, I'm not saying Irish people are terrorists, and I'm not saying that they didn't have a legitimate grievance. I'm obviously not saying that. And it's obviously very difficult because I'm actually English with Irish parents. So are we done with Gaza? We're going to just finish off what Simcast says in just a second. But yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't agree with that either. I know it's a joke and a saying, but it seems weird that that's what we needed. For a while, Great Britain and America needed the Arabic countries to be the enemy because we wanted to go over there and bomb the fuck out of them and get all the oil and control the passage of the oil and change the government from this one to that one so that we can have a better price on the oil. Yeah. So what we did was we went and bombed the fuck out of them, and then maybe some of them got so angry that they came and bombed us, or maybe we even just fucking MI5'd it up and said, go and blow up a bus, we'll put it on the news, fucking Muslims bad, or maybe it stirred up this groundswell, whatever, there's politics and there's conspiracies, aren't there? But basically we wanted them to be the baddies, so we bombed the fuck out of them and they were the baddies, and now we don't want them to be the baddies so much anymore, so we have to recontextualize how we teach our people to think about things. But for a while there, the terrorists were the Muslims, weren't they? Osama bin Laden, everyone's a fucking bomber, that was the world for a bit, wasn't it? So bit difficult if you were actually Muslim or whatever, but it was our world for a bit. Yeah, agree.
I think Jewish culture is beautiful and wonderful.
Like the soup.
And I think Arab culture is wonderful. So
they also do good soup.
I'm not necessarily on either side. I think it comes to a point where it doesn't matter who's wrong or right anymore.
Well, it does a little bit.
There needs to be a resolution, but there also comes to a point when people have to recognize that certain people cannot live side by side peacefully, and it will never happen.
Oh, that's weird, because I think the other thing, I think they can live side by side peacefully and it could happen. But without going too deep into it, like the Gaza thing, let's just carry on, yeah.
No matter how many peace talks happen, they cannot live side by side.
I was going to say, that was the other thing. I was going to say, they've had resolutions in the past. And the thing, I think, my main point is contextualizing what's right and wrong, not based on Israel thinks that Hamas were right to do this or wrong to do this, and Hamas said Israel have said this in the past. No, not that sort of right and wrong, but did you kill any kids? Can you now fuck off? Like that sort of right and wrong.
Here, you're going to have a lot of Palestinians immigrating to other countries.
Big ups all tickety boo. Big ups all tickety boo. Got another new first time chatter. Big ups.
Egypt is going to get a lot of Palestinians coming in. Jordan, Syria, the neighbouring countries, and that's going to be a problem. But like I said, I was reading about do you know that David Beckham has Jewish ancestry?
Oh my God, that sounds like some sort of conspiracy theory against Jews.
People don't know that. Just as they don't know that Bob Marley is biracial. Bob Marley.
Oh my God, what we don't know. Isn't Bob Marley like British, white, Jamaican, black parents? Like, you know, isn't that what it is? I think he was half caste, wasn't he? Yeah.
He's the son of a black Jamaican mother and a white Jamaican father. A
Oh,
lot of
right,
people don't know that.
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
There's so much, and I was reading about the history of Madeira, a Portuguese island where Cristiano Ronaldo was born.
Right.
And I learned so much today. I didn't have any idea that Berbers and people in North Africa also experience things that people from West Africa experienced. And there's so much history to what's going on over there in the Middle East.
What?
That to dissect it would take forever, and there's just so many layers to this story.
Oh, absolutely, though, yeah.
But the thing about Biden's visit is that I think he felt he had to show solidarity with Israel for whatever reason. You know,
Financial.
it's a good photo opportunity, but also showing compassion for Gaza and, you know, saying, you know, we have to allow aid to these.
I mean, do you want it, Dover and Dolly's mum? Do you want it? You're related to Geronimo, fair play. Do you want a bit of this? Listen, from an English pun's perspective, who does follow the international news scene, you know, he pays attention to the world leaders and what they're saying. I thought Biden looked ineffective, tired, confused, and failed to make any coherent point when he was in Israel. I think I'm not a big backer of Trump, obviously, like from my politics, but I think being a statesman and making a sort of clear and concise statement on the world stage in these times is quite helpful. So I don't think that he did a good job of that. But like, politics aside, just, you know, the images you saw on the news and the way he sort of carried himself through it. Yeah.
And it's one of these things where you just cannot win. You cannot win. And some people want you to choose a side. And that's what's happened with the Watts case. A lot of people wanted me to choose a side. And I've never, ever been able to. I've always been on the border.
It's about the Watts case now again and her again.
Because while I recognise that what Chris did is absolutely not what you're supposed to do ever.
Understatement.
While I recognise that he made the wrong decision, I also recognise that Shanann wasn't perfect. That she was probably difficult to live with.
Oh my God. Do you really, this is probably why you're unpopular, is because I don't care how difficult Shanann was at this point. She got murdered by her husband. She's an innocent, and that was tragic. And to sort of say negative things about her, even if it's true, even if sometimes she could be like, get your stuff off that sofa, I need you to fucking hoover up, and you're getting eggy because you're fucking this and that. You know, everyone has difficult times at home. Their relationship and her personality, it's not in question in this way. And to bring it up and question it like that makes you sound bad.
But there was another answer to his issues. There was another answer to the problems. There was another answer to the dilemma. And sometimes choosing the right answer isn't easy. And there's no easy answer to what's going on in the Middle East. But I hope for a resolution. But I know that realistically, this will never happen. And sometimes we have to...
Actually, I think what I just said, there was a bit of heavy critique. I think it's fair for her to try and find a reason for Chris Watts' behaviour. But just in 2023, at the end of this video, I don't know why it needed to come up. Like, anyone who didn't have heard her say that in the past will have now have heard her say that and think, oh, that's a bit distasteful.
Realistic in life, rather than having a fantasy of what's going to happen, we need to be realistic. Just like I'm realistic when I say I'm not popular because of my opinions, because I'm so honest. People don't like that. I'm outspoken. But yet my channel has garnered over 400,000 likes.
I mean, I'll shout out to this, yeah. Outspoken, honest, unpopular sounds like me. But I have learned over the time that I've been on YouTube, I think, where and when it's appropriate to be outspoken, and how honesty is 100% all the way down the line. But, you know, do I need to explore my honest feelings about negativity about certain aspects of Shanann Watts' character? Not really. You know, you've got choices about where I go and talk about. So I suppose there's that as well. Like you had done, and you've done this.
Time views. So, and that's just a stepping stone. That's not the pinnacle. You know, it's hundreds of thousands of views that this channel will garner over time. That's just a bridge or a point to start from. It's not, you know, this is not amazing figures by any means. It's just a place to start from.
You're going to get 100,000 views,
you know, sometimes in life we have to have stepping stones, but I don't see what's going on over there in the Middle East. I don't think it's going to be resolved anytime soon, but I do wish for peace on both sides, but I know how unrealistic wishing for peace is. I do realise that.
Why did you even make the video then? Her point about Gaza and Palestine, and she put Alan in the picture and he didn't even fucking feature. Her point was, I don't really have a point. I'm not really on either side. I just think they can't live next to each other. And that's a lot like me and how unpopular I am on YouTube, with people on YouTube that talk shit. And I've just summed it up there. I've just done her video for her in like, just like that. And she didn't need to do with her video. Instead, she could have written that down as an idea for a video, yeah, looked at it on paper and said, that's not really a video. I haven't made any coherent point here other than to say it's a bit like squabbles and conflicts are a bit like conflicts and squabbles. Like, if you had a point about it, you could have made a video with your, you know, your argument and your point, but otherwise, why are you bothering? So that's Simcast, one of my favourites at the moment for making fucking weird content. But we've got more weird content. We've got some more. We've got a lovely bit of autodidactic, you know.